Professional Speak. I'm Kevin, your host.
And I'm Brian Russick, co host, drum teacher, drummer extraordinaire. To book a lesson with me, go to brianrussick.com.
Joining us today is Liarra Michelle, actor, model, and host. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on tonight.
It's an absolute pleasure having you on. Just to get things kicked off, can you tell us a little bit about your acting career just to start it off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been really fortunate that I've had the chance to do a lot of different things. I'm not someone that you will have said, oh, I've seen them on the big screen or on Broadway, but I've had a chance to do a lot of new productions, which I love. I love being a part of the creative process and being a part of when a playwright or a theater company, they're like, hey, we have this new piece, and you get to work with them to create it. You know, who is this character? No one's ever done that before.
I love writing. Writing. It's very fascinating to me.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I don't do that part. I just take what other amazing smart people have written, and then I try to do the best to show it. But I have a lot of respect for writers. I really do.
Look, can you tell us a little bit about some of your favorite roles or some of the favorite characters that you've played?
Oh yeah. So I've used to do several things with the New York deaf community, and I know that you're in Texas, so I'm not sure if you're very familiar with this. And actually, Brian, I'm not sure if you're that familiar with this either, but there's a very large deaf community here in New York. And so in 2013, I had a chance to audition for them, and I did my first production with them in 2014. And then over the course of 8 years, I did several productions with them, which was really fun. And I learned ASL during the time and became very involved with the deaf community and a lot of friends who are deaf. And I did a production. So there's a playwright by the name of David Ives, and he does a lot of things that are like play with words. You know, he's very smart. So his work is just very wordy and very clever, and it's fun. It's fun. Mm-hmm. So it was a series of short plays by David Ives, and for one of them, it was called the I just blinked on the mystery of Twickenham Pickeridge. Yes, the mystery of Twickenham Pickeridge. So it's like a who did it. It's like a farce kind of, like,
okay,
are they dead? Are they not dead? Who did it? And the director was thinking, okay, well, if we had the family, if they're deaf, but then the cop comes in and he's hearing, how would they communicate? Especially something that's so focused on language and like going around each other and this and that. And he said, what if there's a maid, not in the script at all, but what if there was a maid and she was the interpreter? And so I was cast to do that part. So basically I learned every single person's lines. Fortunately, it was a short play, so it was only maybe like a 20, 25-minute play.
Oh, wow.
But I learned everyone's lines. So for all of the characters or the actors who were deaf, who were signing the lines, I had to create different voices for each of them to vocally interpret how that character would have said the lines. Then for the actor, so Forrest, his name is actor, he was actually recently in Black Rabbit, and he's had a lot of accolades for that. So he's one of the bad guys in that. He was the speaking actor, the hearing actor. And so I would sign his lines. And so it was such a fun challenge because I had to learn basically 5 different characters' lines and to be able to try to show them in ways that represented the characters, how they were doing it. But then also I'm a character that doesn't exist, but I do exist because I'm on the stage. So I had to find times to be able to insert how this person, this maid who was trying to interpret for everyone in a very fast moving scene, how she would have reacted. And it was
very interesting.
One of probably the hardest things, even though it was only 25-minute show, probably one of the most difficult and challenging things I've ever done. But that was definitely my most favorite thing because it was fun. It's fun as an actor with anything you do, coding or, trying something new on the drums or whatever, anything you do, if you get a challenge, something you haven't done before, it's kind of fun, especially if you love what you do.
Yeah, like when I teach kids, I'll show them, a new groove or new beat, and they'll be fascinated by it. They're like, "Oh, now I can play it," and then they keep playing it every time I see them, and it becomes a part of them, basically.
Yeah, that's Well, and once you do that thing that you're like, how on earth am I going to do it? Then when something else comes along, you're like, oh, I can do that. I did this other
Yeah.
thing. I just know I have to work hard. I got to like hone in and do what needs to be done. But there is also that rewarding thing, for those kids, or for any of us, it doesn't matter how old we are. When
Right.
we finally do that thing that we're like, how am I going to do the thing? We later look back and be like, oh yeah, I did the thing. Okay, cool.
And we connect with it.
Yeah,
That moment where we connect. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, like without challenge, then a lot of the reward is missing. Just being able to extend beyond what you thought you were previously capable of. That's an amazing feeling.
Absolutely. And I know nothing about what you like the coding like world, like I just pretend to be different people on stage. I don't know anything about the coding thing. I think that is very that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work.
Heady. Very.
Yeah, no, but I think like just as with anything, at first it starts off confusing, it's challenging, but the more you do it, you start picking up on little pieces, and eventually it just comes together. So the main thing I learned with coding is just how to learn. That's the biggest thing. Like just the process of learning. Like no matter what you do, if you haven't really done it before, you're always going to start out confused, maybe a little scared. But if you stick with it, you're just going to start picking up pieces, and then it just comes together. Have you found the same thing, like in acting or some of the other challenging things you've done?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I was actually speaking about this with someone just a few days ago. For some reason, we've convinced adults that we don't need to play anymore and we don't need to grow anymore, that we have to just already be there and this and that. And that's, I think a really disservice. I think it's a big disservice to us because I think that we should always have that. I think we should always have the chance to and I say play because I do think it's important to play, but also you can learn through that by trying something new and looking at it as something that could be fun and give you the chance to grow. It is a kind of play. Yeah. And so, I think that, well, when it comes to the arts, you are always trying to grow and you're trying to get better. I'm not a musician. I don't play any instruments. I did one play where I played the percussion, but she didn't have to be very good at it. So I don't really count that.
Okay.
But with acting, it's you do have to try things new, and even now, post the lockdown, things changed a lot, and what's available has changed a lot. There used to be a lot more theater being produced, and
that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. There were some spaces that closed down. There were some theater companies that dissolved, or people that used to be able to produce it just couldn't financially do that anymore. So there is still some theater. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still theater that's being made. But for instance, I never joined the union. I can, so I might still do this. But up to this point, I didn't join the union because being non-union allowed me to work with some of those smaller companies doing some of that newer stuff that I really wanted to do. Because some of the companies I worked with, I knew that they couldn't afford to pay to do union productions and ask for like the certain price point for tickets and different things like that. And then I was fine with that because I was getting work and I was getting to do work I really enjoyed, and I was very thankful for that. And now it's very different out there. There's just not as much that's being produced. And the circles are a little bit smaller of where they're doing the outreach, just because they don't maybe have the resources to reach out as far to try to get the people. And hopefully, I think it is better than it was, when we first opened up. Hopefully it'll keep getting better. But even that is a way to change. My history, I'm a stage girly. Like I love doing theater, but when there's not as much theater, it's really pushed me to now, I've had a chance to do some of, some short films, and I did some commercial stuff, and it's really pushed me to go for things that maybe I wouldn't have before, which has also been fun and a growing experience. We're like, okay, I need to look at, this as a whole. So I think I lost track of what you said.
That's okay. Like from as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking about, in the business sense, people will tell you, usually in an interview, they'll say, oh, we need you to hit the ground running. Are you ready to hit the ground running when we bring you on? And it's like, it's kind of impossible. If you actually did try jumping out of a car, that wouldn't go too well. And when you try to come into a company, like as a coder, they give you the code base, and then some companies, they'll train you. But a company I was at, they just expected me to just like magically get it. And I didn't. So I ended up quitting. But it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Well, and support, that's something that is a good thing that you mentioned. Like support is important, having that community, whether it's doing something in the arts, doing something, with coding and computers, or doing anything in life. You have to have community. I haven't been to Fresno. How big is your city?
Me.
Yes.
Yeah, so Frisco is like maybe 100K, but DFW, it gets like over 1 million. So
right. So yeah, it's very big. I thought that's where it was, but I wasn't sure if it was by Dallas.
Yeah.
It's by Dallas. Yeah.
I didn't have time to Google after you told me this. But
and I'm in Long Island.
Yeah.
Are you in Manhattan?
So I'm not. I'm actually in Jersey City. So I was in Brooklyn.
Oh, Jersey.
Yeah. So I was in Brooklyn, and then my husband and I were looking for somewhere new, and just with how rents are and everything, we were trying to figure out where we wanted to go, and we just found a place here that we love.
Okay.
So, which actually, funny enough, it takes less time for me to get into the city than it did from when I lived in Brooklyn. Which, I mean, it's whatever, it makes sense. If you live here, it makes sense. But it is funny when you think of it, that coming from another state, it takes less time for me to get to things than when I lived in, just a suburb of.
Yeah. How far is that from Hoboken?
Not too far. So I can drive. I choose not to. Okay. So I take public transportation. So if I were to take the train from here to Hoboken, I'd have to switch or walk. So I don't know, like 20 minutes. We'll say 20 minutes.
Okay.
Probably less.
Pretty close.
It's very close. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's pretty close to Manhattan. You just jump on the train and.
Oh yeah. So we have so we have a path, it's called the PATH train. And from where my local stop, it's if I want to get to the World Trade Center, it's like a 10-minute train ride.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Awesome.
It's close. I'm like, okay. It was a little sad for me to get rid of my New York license and switch over.
Right.
But I think it's really important to vote in, like, I'm a big fan. Like, I think everyone should vote in their local elections. And so if I'm going to live here, like, this is where I should, try to like support and be active and be involved in my community. Because again, I think community is so important.
Yeah.
But it did hurt my heart a little bit when I had to get rid of my New York license. I'm like, oh, goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
So where on Long Island are you?
Oh, Suffolk County. So I'm like in the woods. I'm like,
how long does it take you to get into the city?
Way out in the woods. 2 hours to get to like Queens.
Oh.
So I got family in Queens, and well, they call it Arvell by the Sea, but it's basically Rockaway Beach.
Oh, okay.
If you know the area, yeah. So my aunt is over there, and my cousin.
Oh, that's nice.
So we visit them maybe once or twice a year.
Okay. And did you two work together? Is that how you got connected?
Oh, me and Kevin?
Yeah.
No.
No, we met randomly on LinkedIn. I think one of us commented on one of the other's posts, and eventually we ended up on a phone call, and then we just started to realize there's kind of this synergy. There's this energy that's really good between me and Kevin, and we just noticed it. I noticed it. And because we'd be having these very long conversations, very in depth. And then Kevin said, well, I have a podcast. Would you want to come on it sometime? And I'm very shy, very introverted. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it. He's like, okay, cool. And then a couple of weeks go by, a couple of months go by. And I think he asked me again. And I was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot.
Oh, that's nice. Again, community. You guys had that friendship and something that you maybe never thought that you would be comfortable with doing. Someone else, Kevin, it says a lot for you, Kevin, that you've created a space where someone who maybe never would feel comfortable doing this feels comfortable. So see, community. It's all about
community. Yeah.
It's really, really important. And Brian's been making like amazing strides. Just recently he started getting on camera, so he's really like coming into his own, you know. So.
Okay. Oh, but good for you, because
I'm very shy, you know, I'm very shy.
Yeah, but this is a good space, you know, because
It is.
this was your space. And you know, the thing is, when you're performing for people, you know, which is I mean, you're having a conversation, right? This is all we're doing. We're just having a conversation here. But if you look at it as performing, if that gets in your head, you know, no, you're not, there's no mistakes. Like, there's no mistakes, because even if you say, oh, I was going to say that differently, or, oh, I meant to talk about this, the people watching this, they don't know that.
They have no
They
idea.
don't know that.
Yeah.
So all you have to be is present and having the conversations and listening and responding, doing this. I mean, you're doing the thing, and there's no reason for you to not feel comfortable doing it, because I would never have guessed that you would try. I would never guess that you first off just only started doing your video on these, but also the fact that you say that you're shy and like
very much.
I would never guess that at all.
Well, I think, you know, I used to work in sales, insurance sales, health insurance, life insurance, and a lot of that was over the phone. So I think over time, I developed kind of like a phone voice, because a lot of people, you know, will say, oh, you have such a nice voice. I'm like, I guess it's because I worked in sales. I don't know. Like, you just learn different techniques in sales, how to talk to people and mirror people. And there's all these different techniques, but I think it has something to do with, you know, coming from that area.
Absolutely. I mean, sales is a type of performance. You have to know how to present yourself with that. So, and
it's a presentation. Yeah,
absolutely. And so, have you had this podcast for a very long time, Kevin?
So it started about a little bit over 3 years ago, and
wow.
yeah, like a couple years later, Brian joined, and we really took off from there. Because you know, initially, you could probably tell from the name, it was like a coding podcast, and you know,
yeah. So when Brian reached out to me, I'm like,
I don't know if I could do
it. I know nothing about this. I know that there's zeros and ones. That's
zeros and ones. Yeah.
that's all I know. I know there's lots of other words that I know nothing about. So
most definitely.
But you know, after a while, you kind of, you know, with coding, you can only talk about so much before you start talking about the same things over and over. So we just decided to expand it, and you know, Brian brought his unique flavor, and really started bringing on, you know, just people of all professions. And I think that was probably the best move we could have made, because I mean, it's just really interesting to see how just people from all walks of life, how they handle challenges in life.
Yeah.
Like for you personally, like, did you ever feel nervous when, you know, you started acting, or just for any big gig?
Oh, of course.
And like, how did you deal with it?
Oh, of course. A lot of people get stage fright. You know, if I have it, lots of thoughts trying to succinct it. You know, when I've had stage fright, when I've had a moment where something was, whatever it might have been, getting into my head, just taking a breath, taking a moment, remembering why you're there, remembering that the people who are there to see you, and that this is something you're doing with, not just for them, but with them, because especially with live theater, it is a collaboration, you know, like you do feed off of them. You want to hear them, you know, well, maybe not everybody. I love to hear them react. I love to hear someone be moved by something or laugh by something. And, and so just remembering that connection, and then just focusing on what you're here to do. And, you know, when you, like, I would imagine if you have a piece of code you need to write that maybe it's daunting, or maybe you're like, okay, the minute you sit down at the computer and you put your hands on the keys, you know what you're doing, and you just do the thing. It's kind of that same thing. Like, even if before you're like, oh, I don't know if I can put on this show, so expletive, you know, then you go out and you just do it. You just do
it. Yeah.
It's about being present and remembering what you know and trusting yourself.
It's the same with music. You know, you'll have the nerves right beforehand. Then you get out there on stage, you start playing, and then it's almost like the whole world sort of goes away. It's a very weird thing. You know, you just at least for me, I laser focus into the bass player, into the piano player, into the guitarist, the singer. I'm just like queued up, keyed into them. I'm not worried about the audience. So it's a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah. So I think that, yeah, everyone, I think it's normal to have, you know, fear, or to have that, what was her name? Oh, Brene Brown had something where she talks about how vulnerability is actually one of the strongest things that you can have. You know, this is a sign of courage to recognize, like, whew,
Yeah.
this is a vulnerable thing. I'm a little scared. You know, this is whatever. It actually, you know, gives you a chance. It's like when they say, like, the brightest stars shine in the darkest night, you know, it's like you have to have that contrast, you know. So if you have the contrast of, oh, expletive, then you go and do the thing and you're like, oh, okay, you know, it gives you that courage. So, you know, I think sometimes it's good to be scared. Not scared, maybe that's not the right word, but it's good to have that moment to be. It just shows you're honest. It just shows that you're being super present in the moment.
Authentic.
Yeah, and authentic.
Authenticity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Yep.
And I think
Yep.
that that's a really nice thing in a world where so many people are whatever image they show on social media, but you never know what they are in real life. You know,
No clue. Yeah.
it's nice when people can just be authentic.
Exactly. I've heard fear actually shows that you care. Like you're scared because you care. You're into what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So one of the jobs I mentioned to you, Kevin, is I host these CSR events. So CSR event is a corporate social responsibility event. So we go in, it's like team building, but we also match them with local non-for-profits. So they make these donations that go to the non-for-profit, and the idea is, oh, you build this camaraderie with your fellow colleagues because you're doing something like fun and competitive, but then you also are doing it because you're coming together to do something good and make a difference in your community. And you see these adults who are, oh, they're so much more established and make so much more money than I would ever be able to in my life, and we'll get so nervous about drawing a picture on the bag that this donation is going to some kid. They're not even going to know who this goes to, but just because they care so much, you'll see these people who have excelled in their own, you know, industry be so nervous about just drawing a simple picture for a kid. But because of that, because they care. Like,
Yep.
and I try to joke with them. I try to get them to, you know, realize, like, kids are going to be happy no matter what. No one's judging anything, you know. But I like that. Fear just shows you care. Oh, I like that.
Absolutely.
So I think something that's also been that's good with what you've been able to do is to give back. You know, like working with the deaf kids. That has to be amazing. Doing something you love, and
Yeah.
also giving back to the underprivileged.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to give back, and I'm, you know, the people that I worked with, I haven't worked with them now, because the theater company has kind of gone a different way. But I mean, they're established, really great actors that I've had a chance to work with, and one of them, he actually recently got his doctorate, but I think he knows like 6 different languages.
Wow.
And he was like the official interpreter. He's deaf. So they have what's called a CDI, which is a certified deaf interpreter. But he was an interpreter for, like, I think it was maybe Tony Blair when he was in, like, whenever he would come like to the UN, they would bring him in and stuff like that. So it was really interesting because,
that's insane. Yeah.
You know, doing something. And I also try to use like my hearing privilege to, when I do things, to say, okay, well, how is this going to be accessible? Because accessibility is really important. And so many times the things that don't affect us, we just don't think about. And so when I'm in a creative space, I do like to bring that up. I like to be just a little bit like, hi, because I want something that all of my friends can go see. And I want something that, you know, people I don't know, but still need accessibility, can have that accessibility. And so it's definitely opened my eyes. And I think that my friends have helped me realize just how much of a privilege when it comes to that sort of thing that, you know, we do take for granted so often. And with the CSR events, like, I mean, it is still work, and it can be a lot of work, but I love it because, again, I get to go and I get to see other people come together that maybe never would have thought, oh, this is going to feel good. Like, sometimes people walk into the room like, oh, team building. I don't want to do it.
Well, and it just makes me think about most people do not enjoy their job, do not enjoy their work. They just, you know, clock in 9 to 5, get home, watch some TV, go to bed. you know, but when you can really have pride in what you do and really, you know, like
Yeah.
for me with teaching music, I love teaching. And, you know, I started at 18, 38 now. So it's been a while, you know, but I really love it. And I could tell that you're passionate about what you do.
I'm a very passionate person. Yeah, I can't help it. But yeah, but you know, you can tell that you love what you do, and I'm guessing that you love what you do with the coding. Is there a better term for what you do? I don't know. I looked at your LinkedIn, but I wasn't sure if there was like a more like succinct like title for what you do.
Yeah, coding. That's pretty much, you know.
Okay. I mean, I feel like
Programming.
that's enough because that's
Yeah.
a lot. So I feel like that's enough title, but I just wanted to make sure. But the same thing. I mean, that's a lot of work, and it takes, like you said, it's very heady, and it takes a lot of work to even get to where you are. So I'm guessing you enjoy that as well, if that's what you do.
Yeah. Well, actually, my background, originally I wanted to be like an artist, but you know, art, it doesn't really pay. You know what I'm saying? So, and I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I did. Then I switched over to accounting. I got a degree in that, but I really hated that, so I ended up in programming.
Hey, that's kind of what it is, right? Just keep searching and growing and learning new
Yeah.
things until we find that thing that just fits.
I think that God redirects, you know, like one door closes, but then a window opens up, you know, and now we're able to go explore this new area. It's kind of like, you know, me and Kevin and the podcast. I never thought in a million years I'd be doing something like this, but here I am, you know? And so it's, I appreciate the experience, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you find your passion early, or did it kind of click later on in life? Like, did you just immediately take to acting, or how did that happen?
I'm really fortunate that I was raised by a single mom, wonderful lady, and she always encouraged me, and she was very much in the arts as well. She wasn't provided the opportunity to be able to pursue it professionally, but it was something that was she had a big foundation in it. So growing up, we would always be in all the plays, little community plays or school plays, any of those plays, and so I was always around it, and then I don't remember making the decision or something that made me make the decision. My mom says she remembers, but I don't know what she's talking about. But I just remember that when I was trying to decide, I decided that I wanted to go to college, and that was something that I just wanted to do.
Right.
And I didn't even think about any other top thing that I was like any other subject. It was just, no, I'm going to go for theater. And I don't know what it was why that was just like, no, that's what I'm going to do. But it was. And I was really fortunate. I went to this school that was a work college. And so you worked for your education. So you graduate debt free. Yeah. It definitely has its like ups and downs, plus and minuses, like every place does. But one thing I'll be forever grateful, because, I can ignore, like things that you don't like. I think you can ignore most of them for 4 years if you can get an education for basically just for working for the place and not have any debt. So I was really fortunate that I was accepted, and I got to get my degree I have a degree in theater and a minor in speech communications, and I was able to do that and graduate without any student loans. So very, very thankful for that.
And that's quite unique to be able to work off your debt or just not have to pay for school. I mean, when I think of college, I'm thinking, all right, it's going to be like 20,000 a year, 50,000, depending on where you go, Ivy League or whatever. But yeah, your situation sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I wish there were more, this one thing, it's hard to know how to like approach these topics when you don't know the people that you're talking to. But like, I just wish that our country provided more opportunities for people to get a higher education if they wanted to, without worrying about that. Because a lot of people don't pursue higher educations, even if they want to. And it's not always about the job you're going to get at the end. Sometimes you just want to learn more and you want to have that experience. And it's disheartening to me as I get older, just to think about all the people that I know that are still, paying off a lot of student loans still, maybe 20 years after they've graduated. Whereas in, other countries, you have the opportunity and the access to get more education without having that, and not, and people that don't want to, oh, my kids aren't going to go to school because they don't want to have that debt, and it's not even an option to them. And I do wish that we had more opportunities like that here.
Yeah, I think like now you kind of have to think outside of the box, because there's like so many educational platforms that, me personally, I feel like I've learned more off of YouTube than school.
Yeah, but that's great though. That's great that there are the other platforms out there that can give you that.
I mean, YouTube, you can learn how to fix a lawnmower, fix a car engine, play musical. I mean, it's incredible, because I mean, I didn't grow up with YouTube, but I really appreciate it that we have it now.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I would watch videos because I'm close to your age. I'm older than you, but I'm close to your age, right? So yeah, I didn't really, have it so much growing up either, but I have seen different things. And you're right, I've learned some things off of there. And my husband likes to show me things like, oh, look what these people did. Like, oh, look at this. And watch, I'm like, oh, that's nice, honey.
Okay.
No, but it is nice that there is so much information and that people are willing to share that information
for free.
That people want people to be able to learn from them. Because I do think that there's something that a lot of us have as we get older, is we want to help other people. We don't want it. It's not just about, oh, am I going to make, a buck for this? It's no, can anything that I've learned help make the next generation, make it easier for them or make it better for them. So yeah, you're right. YouTube is and there's other platforms out there I know as well, where you can get, like certificates, maybe not like full on degrees, but you can
like Udemy.
Yeah, Udemy, EDX. Like you can actually audit a lot of Ivy League courses on EDX for free. So
okay. I'm just going to try to remember that. I'll watch this later if I don't remember it. Oh, well, that's great to know. I didn't know that, and that kind of stuff needs to be out there too for me, so that people know and the resources where they can get that information.
Yeah. I mean, there's free courses from Yale, I think. I'm pretty sure there's free courses from Harvard, Princeton. So all these top schools, you can go on YouTube or you can register on their website and actually take the course, without having to pay. So at least there's that, at least if someone has a certain interest, like, oh, let me go learn X, they're actually able to do that without necessarily paying for it. So
that's great.
That's a unique thing about the world we live in right now.
Yeah, it's amazing that we're in a time where a lot of the gatekeeping is kind of removed, like from education, even for opportunities. I have some very creative friends, and if YouTube was around, they might have been stars. They might, because they like acting, doing skits, stuff like that. And now you can just from a camera phone, you can blow up and get 1 million followers. And like streamers nowadays, they're honestly like the new actors. Like that's how popular some of them are. The landscape has changed a lot since like when we were young.
Yeah, and it's constantly changing. It is constantly changing.
Big time. Yeah.
Even with regular, I shouldn't say regular acting, but like with like stage acting and things, with casting directors, and people want to know what your following is on social media, which is a wild thing to me, because it's like, that doesn't really have anything to do with what I bring, but that's just what the world is right now, that people want to know, and they want to bring people in that have, a following. And I don't know if it's just so that it's more marketing for them, because if you have someone that is a part of your project that has thousands and thousands of followers, that's that many people that, will hopefully come in and see it. I'm not sure if it's just that or what it is, but it's just different, because that was never a thing even just a few years ago. No one would have asked that.
Right.
Yeah, I think the kind of downside of it is like somebody who has a huge following, they might get the role over somebody who's dedicated more time, that they might be more talented, but just because the other person has bigger following, and therefore it'll be more profitable because they're bringing their following with them.
Right, but then that other person is actually the better fit.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens, and I think that for creatives, you just have to say, okay, it's, the thing is, when I go for a role, I know that there's hundreds of people that are going for that same role. And if I don't get it, very rarely does it have anything to do with me.
Yeah.
It's, oh, these people look better together, or
Not personal.
this is this. Yeah, it's not personal.
It's not personal.
I think that there's a lot of, especially young artists, who they have their identity tied in with what they do. And so if they don't get something, I mean, of course, it's never a nice feeling to not get something. You're like, oh, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's not personal. So, you have your,
right.
That sucks. You go have a glass of wine or a bowl of ice cream or whatever, and you get over and just move on with life, because life moves on. Life is we got caught up on all the times we hear no.
Constantly moving.
Yes.
Constantly moving. Yeah.
And I've heard, a lot of people say this, that, it's every no just leaves way for the right yes, and so it is hard sometimes when, I know someone that happened to, that they auditioned for something that they would have been like the role was written for them, but it was given to someone who I don't think did as well as they would have done, but because of, their name or whatever.
They had the following on Instagram or whatever the case.
And it's just one of those things you're like, well, it's unfortunate. But it is what it is. And if that's where the priority is, maybe that's not a project that you want to be a part of anyway. Maybe you'd rather wait and be a part of a project that is focused on the storytelling and the authenticity and really making that, amazing product. Yeah, capitalism is a thing, and it's a thing even in the arts. So yeah, you just kind of live with it. Just try not to get better, and you just try to stay positive.
It's really all you can do. I mean, like with teaching drums, you never know when someone's going to cancel. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they don't really want to do it that day. They got something else, another plan booked. But as a teacher, you're just gonna be like, oh well, okay, I guess they're not coming in today. I mean, what are you gonna do? Say, oh, give me that $80 or whatever. You weren't here. I don't do that with students. It's like, if you have to cancel, you have to cancel, but try to give me at least 24 hours.
Yeah, of course. I mean, consideration is just, it's important. And I do want to add, just, I also don't believe in begrudging someone for getting work. So I think that doesn't do anything but bring the whole, like, everyone down. So even if I think maybe someone else would be better for it, that's my own personal preference. Yeah. I would prefer seeing someone else in it. That does not mean that person does not deserve to do it. It does not mean that person is going to do a great job. Even if I see someone, I'm not going to say who she is, but there's this actress I've seen a few times on Broadway. I don't particularly care for the way she acts. I just don't. But that's my personal preference. It doesn't mean I'll ever say, oh, she shouldn't be cast in something. Oh, I don't wish her well. I don't wish her success. Like, that energy, I'm not, like, I don't think that that's healthy. So I just want to make sure that, like, I add that to what I said before, that sometimes you're like, oh, that's unfortunate. But at the same time, I'm never going to wish someone to not have success, because, I'm very much of, if we want everyone to succeed, we all get, like, just like try to lift everybody
inclusive. Up, you want to bring everyone in together.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not a crab, I'm not going to try to pull you down, try to get a little bit higher. I'm not, my husband's from Jamaica. He likes to use that, like, analogy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so, like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try to pull you down to get up, because that's not going to help anyone. I'm going to applaud your success, and then, hey, maybe I'll be up there one day to join you. If not, I'm going to do the best at where I am.
So I know, like, the entertainment business, there can be a ton of rejection. Same with, like, even tech. Some people get like over 1,000 rejections, and they still keep going. Like, how are you able to kind of power through all the rejections until you started getting opportunities?
Just have to be tenacious. You just have to keep going. That's all there is. And then you also have to be kind to yourself. And if you're having a moment where you're just feeling down about it and feeling frustrated, acknowledge that and be like, yeah, this is really frustrating, and I wish things were different right now. And give yourself that space and give yourself the grace to just, breathe and take a moment and drink your tea and do whatever you need to do. And then you just keep going. My mom, when she was working, she was a therapist, and she would tell her clients, and I always loved this, and she would say, it does not matter if you fall down. It doesn't matter if you fall down. It matters if you get back up. It doesn't not matter when you get to that finish line. That doesn't matter. The point is, you're always going. You're always on your way there. So even if you're taking tiny steps and you're stumbling and you're getting back up and taking tiny steps, you're still moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
So, so I try to, I'm not saying I always succeed at this, gentlemen. Sometimes I fail at this, and I'm just like, this this not good. I do not enjoy today. But I try to keep that point of view of just, okay, just got to keep going, because there's other things that I could be doing if I don't want to do this. So, if I love this, then I love it for all it is and just keep going.
It makes me think, just in terms of music, doing something every day or 5 days a week, and doing it for, say, 5 or 10 minutes at a time. So it could be an exercise that you don't particularly like, but you're going to tell yourself, okay, every day I'm going to sit down and do 5 minutes of metronome work, or I'm going to do 5 minutes of working on jazz and brushes, or whatever you're working on. If you do that regularly, daily, you can learn anything. That's what I've learned, basically, that you can learn anything, no matter the difficulty, if you just kind of space it out like that. A little bit every day adds up over, say, a 90-day period.
Yeah, for sure. And have realistic expectations of yourself. Don't expect yourself to be able to, the first day you go to the gym, to be bench pressing, 200. Like, I mean, you could try. It might work out too well, but just have realistic expectations of ourselves. I don't know if it's just because of, I don't know. I don't think it's because of just social media and that false image of people. I think it's just the way our society is. Sometimes it just puts way too much pressure on us for, different things. And it's like, we can just be kind to ourselves and, just take it as we go. Like you said, one step at a time.
That's a good reminder.
I think it's pretty interesting that you did bring up social media, because I think, magazines used to be kind of the social media of, like us growing up. They show these unrealistic depictions, like, Muscle magazine. You see these super big people, and you wonder, like, why don't I look like that? But the reality is lighting. They might be on performance enhancing drugs, but you're aspiring to be something that doesn't even exist. Like, it could even be Photoshop. So I think it's really important to have the proper perspective and realize that, you can't necessarily be like these fantasies, but you just still have to progress every day anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't know if either one of you have children or not. I don't have any children, but I think for people that do have kids, I have plants. They're good. But I think for people that do have children, I hope that they really teach them just to love themselves and to not do this, because I know it's probably a touchy issue bringing up AI with people that work in coding and things, but I'm pretty anti-AI personally.
Well, me too.
Okay. But I've seen where people have brought things shown in magazines where it says in the caption for the photos or whatever that it was an AI image.
Wow.
And so it's like, we already, like you said, you have these, young children who are looking at people that is this one, whatever, whoever decided that that's the ideal, they're glorifying that look.
Or Victoria's Secret, something like that, photoshopped.
And like, so already we had to deal with photoshopping real people and stuff, but now they're taking these AI images where they're just basically taking all the parts that they like of all these different people and stuff like that and putting them together. So it's not even an existing unrealistic expectation. It's a computer generated. But I think that, I think that's, it's really important to teach our young people and people that aren't even young. It doesn't matter how old they are. Just, love yourself and love, let's love each other and the community aspect and be there for each other and be authentic in who we are and not always thinking that we have to be this other thing.
Exactly. I think that's a great point you brought up, is just embracing yourself and not wishing that you could be somebody else, because you can't. Like, the one unique thing God has given all of us is ourselves. That's like the one thing that nobody else has. So why not embrace it?
And there's that saying, what is it saying? About joy and about now now I'm forgetting it. Oh, happiness is no. Sorry, I blanked out.
That's all right.
Oh, comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's what I was trying to get out.
No, but it's true. I mean, it's well, okay, so you mentioned faith before, and I know on your LinkedIn profile you mentioned it as well. And And I know that in the Christian religion, there's the analogy of the body, that,
Yeah.
every piece has its part. The ear isn't going to do the same thing
Yeah.
the thumb is, and the thumb isn't going to do the same thing as my glute, like it's all the different things. So, if we are always thinking that we have to be able to do what everyone else does, it's going to be a very boring society, right? If we're all trying to be the same and do the same thing, we're going to fail, because there's going to be all these empty spaces where no one is to fill to do the thing. And we're just not going to have any diversity in personality and strengths and opinions and all these things that are wonderful. I know that it can be very dicey to talk about religion and politics, but I used to bartend, and I used to I would tell someone, I think the reason we can't talk about those is because we never talk about those. Because if we just have conversations with people that have different opinions, and we listen to one another and we have a conversation, maybe we could actually realize the things that are similar. Maybe we could understand a little bit more, or this and that. I think that there's just a lot of ways that we could be a little more succinct. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent now.
Oh no, it's perfectly fine. Like, why do you think comparison is just such a big concept in our society? Like, why do we feel the need to constantly compare ourselves to others when it can be so detrimental?
Yeah. That's very negative. I think, like, envy, jealousy, especially a lot of younger kids now with the social media, is comparison. Oh, am I, skinny enough? Am I pretty enough? It's awful,
I think a lot of it has
that's what I was gonna say.
I think a lot of it has to do with capitalism. Present them with an unrealistic, idea of what they need to be, and they'll buy the creams, they'll buy the things. So I'm in my mid 40s. Okay, so I see ads for wrinkle creams, and for this, and for like menopausal, are you gaining weight? Like, here, take these hormones that are gonna make you lose weight, and like all these things. Like, I get so many of these targeted ads just because of the age that it knows that I am.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm good, thanks. But people will see that. And the thing is, like, even if you don't want to, when you're getting 10, 50, I don't do social media as much as I used to, for a lot of reasons. But when you're getting all these ads after ads after ads after ads, they're basically saying, oh, you're fat, you need to take pills. You're fat, you need to take pills. You're fat, you need to take pills. When you get, I think it was Hitler that said, you tell people a lie enough, they're going to start believing it's the truth. When you're constantly filling people with these ideas of like, oh, you have a gray hair, now you're unappealing and you're unattractive, or oh, you're this and this. It's just, people are like, oh, I have to do this thing. I have to.
Right.
I'm not saying that people shouldn't dye their hair. I'm not saying that people shouldn't do creams. I do have issues with the weight loss thing, because I think that causes a lot of like issues with like organs and things that there's big issues now because of that. But and so if people want to do something that makes themselves feel good, fine. Like, I'm not putting that down. I'm just don't agree with the idea that we have to constantly make people feel like that. Like you said, the comparison. Yeah. And I do think a lot of it is because they just want you to buy the product. They want you to go to the thing. And it's
unfortunate.
It is so unfortunate. We should do better. We should
as humans, we need to do better. But it starts with us, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I feel like when people are fulfilled, they have no need to buy stuff. Like, if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to go get anything to eat. If I feel like I look good enough, I'm not going to go spend all the money on the haircuts, the creams, or whatever. It's like, in order to sell the product, you have to make somebody feel like something's missing, and I got the answer. So, like you mentioned, it ties into money. And
it does. I firmly believe that there's a lot of inequality in this country. And I think that a lot of things are targeted toward people that are maybe have like a disproportionate amount of like lack of access to things or lack of resources. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I just feel like they build up the society in which they want to prey on. They're creating this society so that they can continue to prey on it, and they can continue to make people feel this and to be robbed of their joy, and to be robbed of that contentment and feeling that, or having the access to it. they take away the sense of community, because if you,
Yeah.
you know, our country is one that you go to a lot of other countries and a lot of other cultures, and there's so much more of a sense of community. And here, there's so much more of just like me, myself, and I, you know, and
Competition.
yeah. And when you have
Yeah.
that, when you take away that, when you successfully teach people that they don't need community, then they're not going to have that community support. Whereas if we have that community support, we could do so much to help each other, that then there won't be those people that are feeling the lack to feel like, oh, I have to have these things, you know, because they'll be
Having that,
having that, right?
mentorship,
Mhm.
having that mentorship available and ready. You know, it's huge. Like I said, with I worked in tech just for a little bit, and you know, the company I got with that hired me, they just send me their entire code base, and then they're just like, figure it out. Oh, we need you to build out, you know, feature X, feature Y, and I'm just like, you know, isn't there training? Isn't there mentorship? And they're like, oh, we can't take our senior developer off of his job to train you. But I'm like, well, yeah, I'm a junior React developer. Like, what do you expect me to be doing on day one?
Yeah.
So I think that's another problem in society. You know, we're expecting too much out of people in this like climate, this current job market. You know, employers are expecting, okay, like I said before, hit the ground running, you know, first day you're working on X, Y, Z. But that's not a reality. That's not realistic, you know.
Well, it's flipping the script of, instead of I appreciate you for the work that you bring, or the talents you bring, it's, oh, you should just be happy to have a job, and you shouldn't, you know, you shouldn't expect certain rights, you shouldn't expect certain treatment, because you should just be happy to be employed. And I think that is one thing that, and I don't know how, well, I think I know how it was in Texas, but here during 2020 and 2021, you know, a lot of things closed down, a lot of people were home. And, you know, when people started going back to work and stuff, and there are a lot of employers are like, well, people don't want to work anymore. It's like, no, people just actually had time with their families, and they just realized they don't want to be giving you 70, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Same amount of money, where they have no time. They don't get to see their kids grow up. They don't get time with their spouse. You know, I think that, there's no way that I'm going to say that that time was a good time, because like, obviously, you know, a lot of people pass, and like a lot of bad things happened during that time. But one good thing that came from that was, I do think a lot of people realized, like, okay, I need to, what are my priorities?
Right.
What am I doing?
Yeah. And like
where am I putting all of my energy, all of my focus?
Yeah. And now with the gig economy being so prevalent, and there's so many different things out there that people can do gig work, whether it's delivery or driving or doing events. I do a lot of events, like brand ambassador type things and whatnot, to fill in, you know, my schedule. You know, I think it gives a lot of power back to the workers to be like, no, like, I'm going to respect you, but I also expect to be respected. Like, we can just mutually respect each other. Because I think that, you know, people do put people like yourself in that situation where they're like, oh, well, you just need to figure it out. Whereas,
just figure it out.
They should have said, you know, we value what you bring, but let's help you get to that next level.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we're paying you, so you need to be able to do X. But the thing is, if you were never trained on that thing, how are you supposed to do it? You know, that's why with that company I was at, it was terrible, because I'm just like, okay, where's the training? Where's the training? They're like, oh, we don't really have training. And I'm thinking, like, what kind of company is this? What did I sign up for?
Wow. Did you experience that as well, Kevin, with your companies, where there was those kind of unrealistic expectations as you walked in the door?
So yeah, thankfully at my first company, you know, I had, you know, he's one of my long-standing friends now. He was able to kind of help me along, but the tech industry is pretty much either you sink or swim. You know, well, you better swim or you're gonna sink, because there's not a lot of people out there to help you. So if you're not spending a lot of time outside of work and learning and preparing, this is pretty much a self-teaching industry. And if you're not willing to do that, then
constant learning. Yeah, like you're saying, just like they expect programmers, coders, whatever, to constantly outside of work be doing projects, pushing them to their GitHub accounts. But it's, you know, some like me, I was like, you know, when work is over, work is over. You know, I'm not jumping on to Udemy, or I'm not jumping on to YouTube and now learning some new skill. I don't want to do that. Like I can do that during work. I can learn during work, but I'm not going to do that outside of that 9 to 5 structure. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, I think they pay you the salaries they pay you in tech, so you gotta do what you gotta do. It's not for everybody. That's the thing that I've learned in life. Everything's not for everybody.
That's the bottom line.
Like me with music, I'll probably fail because I don't have the passion to do it all day. So I think maybe acting is like that as well. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean,
or is it more supportive?
No, it's more supportive.
Okay.
No, oh, thank goodness you took a drink of water. I was like, is it disrespectful if I have a drink of water?
No, not at all.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, you have like your rehearsal time, and sometimes it can be very long hours. And if you're part of unions, there are more rules about how many hours and this sort of thing. Most of the time they try to be pretty respectful because they understand if you're too exhausted, you can't do the thing. So with acting, I mean, we do take classes, if we can, if we have access to that. Or sometimes we'll just meet with people and try to do things because, I think with like a lot of things, we try to do what we can, even if we can't afford to do the fancy version of it. And so it might be just artists that get together and like try to, sharpen each other's skills by, doing different scenes together or whatnot. So it can be very long hours. It can be very long hours, but again, you know what you're getting into. And I think that usually you kind of have an idea of that when you get into it. You're not really surprised.
Right.
You show up and then it's like, oh, by the way. But I've been a part of other things where, like I was on staff of a theater company for a while, and I definitely had, there were times it's like, okay, I'm not, just because I can access Slack 24/7 does not mean I'm going to access Slack.
Yeah, exactly.
I even have to do that, with my own, like doing BA work. Doing with like different random companies that do events and whatnot. You can tell very quickly, and I understand that a lot of times they work all kinds of hours in their office because maybe they own the company and it's a small company, so they're putting in the work to make it, and I have all respect for that. But if someone sends me a text or an email at 10 p.m., they're not getting a response. So I mean, we will. The next day.
I mean, my sister,
I had to teach myself how to have those boundaries because we don't teach people. We teach them, you have to do what you have to do to work. And, and then as I got older, I was like, no.
Yeah, I was going to say, my sister used to work in real estate in Brooklyn. And she would have, she'd be around me and my mom on some night, and it would be 10 p.m. 11 p.m. She's getting hit up by people. Oh, can you show me this? Oh, can you tell me what this? And my mom is just like, why are you answering your phone? Why are you responding to these texts at like 10 o'clock at night? So there definitely are industries that they expect that hustle. They expect that like extra mile, like tech industries definitely like that.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that's also where you have to just, people have to appreciate what you bring. Like they need you. They need you to get that house, and you can answer them, but like you're not like indentured to answer them whenever they want. Like you can have your own life. I just think that some people might want to do that, like you said, like with the coding thing, if you have to get it done, you take whatever time you need to do the thing, so that might be worth it. But then we have to be able to recognize those moments where like, okay, now this is getting to just borderline disrespectful. And I have to set this, because if I don't, it sets the precedent to continue that people will feel like they can cross that line. But it's hard, and there's nuance, and for each person it's going to be different.
Unfortunately, like the industry right now with all the layoffs, they pretty much create an environment where you have to play ball, or you're just going to sit on the sideline potentially for years being unemployed.
But that's sad, right? That's sad that we're in that position where people can use that, to kind of take away that freedom from people, and it shouldn't be like that.
One of the problems in the tech industry, and they're going to start to feel it at some point, these employers, instead of bringing on the junior developer, the entry-level developer, they're buying AI tools. They're having the AI do the information gathering, the scaffolding, the architecture, whatever, because AI can code now as well. So they're kind of like, all right, I'm not going to pay that 75,000 a year salary to this junior. I'm just going to buy this AI bot for 5,000 and call it a day. But the problem is, at some point, the senior developers are going to retire, and then what do you do?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
my question. What do you do at that point?
and it's not perfect, it's not infallible, and it's again, it comes down to the capitalism. It comes down to valuing money over people.
Yeah.
And and that's it's sad that our society is moving even faster in that direction. But it's definitely not infallible. Did you see? I think it was today that there was a young man who had an empty Doritos packet in his pocket, and an AI gun detector detected it was a gun, and they like had him on the ground and handcuffed him. And this was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Like, well, a teenager, like 17, but 17's a kid. It's still a child.
Yeah.
And but yeah, because the AI gun detector detected a gun, and it was an empty Doritos bag in his pocket. And now this poor young man has to live the rest of his life knowing that he was, went through that, was handcuffed and all this stuff. And he did nothing.
You could probably sue. I think you could sue in that situation.
Yeah, I hope so. But it's just, just another example of how it's just, it just, they might want to replace people's jobs, but it's not going to be the same.
No.
Yeah, but we're at the top of the hour. It's an absolute pleasure having you on the show. The hour flew by.
It did. Thank you so much. It was really lovely talking to you both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have to bring you back sometime, get your opinions on AI and a lot of other stuff. You need to do your modeling career.
Oh, well, I would love to be back, and thank you both for having me. Really, thank you.
Absolutely. Where can I find you at? And did you want to leave them with any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Oh, any closing thoughts? Oh, I didn't have anything prepared, Kevin. Just believe in yourself, believe in what you have, and there's always room for growth. But we all have a place, and we can all find ways to lift each other up and find out we work together. It could just be a better world out there. That sounds so like woo-woo, but
no, I totally agree.
Absolutely. And we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.